Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on Saturday, the 8th of May. Hi, I'm Paul and I'll be your host this morning here on New Zealand Sports Radio. In the news today, we'll be up to speed with the international cricket between Pakistan and Zimbabwe, as well as the latest round 9 NRL action. There's also Sevens news and also management news in the rugby. Over in the A-League, and the Phoenix were in action last night. We're bringing that result as well as results from the NBA and the Sal's NBL. Also, we've got golf action in both in the PGA European Tour and the LPGA as well. This is your best way to start the day, up to speed with all of the important sports news. And let's crack on straight away with that golf. And over at the Honda LPGA Thailand, Lydia Ko is in action, and after the second round, she sits in tied fourth place at 11 under par. She did have a show the lead at one point during the second round, but she finished 5 shots off the lead as Tabatanakit from Thailand leads at 16 under par, 3 shots clear of her rivals. Over in the European Tour and at the Tenerife Championship, Amanos of Spain leads at 14 under par after the second round, just 1 shot ahead of his rivals. Over in the PGA and at the Wells Fargo Championship, Danny Lee withdrew after an opening round where he was well off the pace and looked on track to miss the cut. As follows a spate of withdrawals for Danny Lee if he's not in contention. We have a 4-way tie at the top of the leaderboard at 6 under par after the and the second round is live at the moment. Harman is out on the course, but Wallace, Woodland, and Rogers, who also share that lead, have all finished their rounds already. Don't forget to join us at 7 a.m. every single morning, where I'll keep you up to speed with all of that golf action, as well as all the important sports news from around the world. Moving on then to basketball in the States, and we had 7 games yesterday. That included the Pacers beating the Hawks 133 to 126, and the Clippers getting a comfortable win over the Lakers 118 to 94. As far as the table goes, we have no new playoff players or teams, clinching playoff positions in the Eastern Conference. There's still the 76ers, Nets, and Bucks who are in the playoffs there, with the Knicks and the Hawks next up chasing those places. On the Western side, again, those 4, the Jazz, Suns, Clippers, and Nuggets with their playoff places clinched, but the Mavericks and Lakers searching for the next places there as well. The Lakers not helped by that loss yesterday. Sticking with basketball and over to the Sal's NBL, and we had 2 games yesterday. The Wellington Saints got a comfortable win over the Southland Sharks, 105 to 73. A real big win there for the Saints. And in a lower scoring game, the Canterbury Rams saw off the Manawatu Jets, 87 to 76. In that one as well. 3 more games today, with the Franklin Bulls taking on the Nelson Giants, the Otago Nuggets playing the Manawatu Jets. Manawatu Jets having to go back to back. That's going to be a tough one for them. And the Hawke's Bay Hawks taking on Southland Sharks, another team going back to back with their games as well. Over in the A-League, and the Wellington Phoenix fought out a 0-0 draw, even though they're up against 10 men in Adelaide United. You've got to say now that the Wellington Phoenix finals hopes really have probably gone. They're 3 points off the finals, but they've played up to 3 games more than their rivals for that final place. Adelaide United sit in second place, but at the moment, second place, and Adelaide United, Central Coast Mariners, and Macarthur FC are all on 32 points there, second, third, and fourth. Fifth place on 31 points is Sydney FC, and sixth place Brisbane Roars 30. So only 3 points separating second through to sixth in that one. In the A-League, it's very tight in those finals positions, with Melbourne City at the top there on 38 points, 6 points clear, sitting comfortably, looking down on the rest. Two more games today: the Newcastle Jets taking on Sydney FC, and Western Sydney Wanderers taking on Western United. There in that one, that's a must-win game for both those Western City Wanderers and Western United, as they sit just outside the playoff places and really need the points that would get from a win in that one. Coming back to the across the ditch to talk about rugby, and the Australian Sevens teams will be travelling over here to New Zealand to take on the New Zealand Sevens teams. That's both the men's and the women's, the Black Ferns Sevens and the All Black Sevens, in a tournament with the Australian teams to warm up for the Olympics. That'll take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May. In Auckland, venues and times have yet to be announced, but club venues are expected to be used, but there may be some games around the Super Rugby game that is on that weekend at Eden Park as well. There's an expectation that the All Blacks, the All Black Sevens and the Black Ferns Sevens will head over to Australia for another warm-up tournament in June, maybe joined by the Fiji as well, before heading up to the Olympics in July for the Sevens tournament there. Tony Brown has head off to Japan, where he's going to be assistant coach for the Japanese national side, meaning that he leaves the head coaching of the Highlanders for the Trans-Tasman competition. And he'll be handing over to his assistant coach. He says, look, if he goes well, then Tony Brown will come back as an assistant coach next year for the final year of his contract, not back as the head coach. So a real good opportunity there for his assistant coach in that one. Don't forget that tonight is finals footy in the Super Rugby with Super Rugby Aotearoa. We have the Crusaders versus the Chiefs at 7 p.m. this evening, and that's followed later on in Super Rugby AU with the Reds taking on the Brumbies. You can check out my predictions for that game over at NZ Sports Radio for that game, and all the other top rugby, nzsportsradio.com, and all the other top rugby that is happening around the globe. Also, you can catch our preview show that came out yesterday with the Cornflake and Shane previewing both those Super Rugby games. Check that out as a video on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or you can check our podcast as well at New Zealand Sports Radio on your favourite podcatcher. Over in the NRL, and it's week 9 action there, and after the big win on Thursday evening of the Storm beating the Rabbitohs 50-0, the Panthers did something similar to the Sharks, winning 48-0 in that one. A big win there for the Panthers. That was followed up by the Eels getting a comfortable victory over the other top team, the Roosters, 31-18. So both the Roosters and Rabbitohs, two upper table sides, currently sat in 4th and 5th, getting big losses this weekend. A bit lopsided in those ones. Today we've got 3 games with the Raiders taking on the Knights, the West Tigers taking on the Titans, and the Cowboys taking on the Broncos. Finally, in cricket news, it's Pakistan versus Zimbabwe, and it's a strange-looking short scorecard on the first day of the test there. Abib Ali opened and has been the rock around the innings for Pakistan scoring 118 and not out. He was joined by Azhar Ali, from the 200-run stand, who scored 126. Everyone else, though, failed to get into double figures, with Imran Butt going out for 2. Abar Azam out for 2 as well, and Fawad Alam out for 5. Shahid Khan is there on 1 and not out at the moment, as Pakistan reached 268 for 4. So you either scored a century or you got out in single figures. A very strange scorecard there. Musrabani for Zimbabwe led the bowling with 3 wickets for 41 runs. Yes, now start of the day, the best way to speak with all of the important sports news. Don't forget to join us straight after the Super Rugby Aotearoa final for post-match reaction. We'll be going live straight after the final whistle, so join us then. And you have started the day. Best way to speak with all the important sports news.